Moving on to the next one, which is should every operator be 2-speed? I think this one's probably less contentious than the previous one. Ever so maybe ever so slightly.
I don't think you know this community very well, Jake. Yeah, so this is something that I've personally sort of advocated quite a bit, talking when we're playing ranked and stuff. And for me, it comes from one particular issue. And it doesn't even need to see every operator be made a 2-speed to fix it, at least not this part of my argument. And that is, why are 1-speed operators louder than 3-speed operators? Now, I get it. The law, they're heavier, they're wearing more. I fucking get it. They're louder.
They got armor.
But from a gameplay design perspective, we are currently in like the most lurky attack meta ever, where the entire goal of the Yana and the Ashe is to find a way into the map and just slow walk and crouch walk around for 2 minutes. And it just adds this complete element of randomization and just bullshit cheese to the defense, where you'd never hear a 3-speed sneaking up on you. You then add on top of that, the 3-speed then has the best maneuverability and attackability when they're actually in prime position because they have that additional speed boost. So I'm not a huge fan of how 3-speeds are louder. I feel like this did get patched or addressed recently to maybe make them a little bit louder, a bit more consistent. But yeah, I'd be very intrigued to see it tested where 3-speeds are louder than 1-speeds. And my second point to that is the inconsistency of the speed of operators does again add this weird element of randomization to Siege. Would it take away some of the character of these operators if you made everyone 2-speed and standardize them? Sure, completely agree with that. But could it be better from a gameplay standpoint to have everyone the same speed? Potentially. I'd like to see it tried.
So for you, the argument then is not actually as much to do with the movement speed as it is sort of the benefits and negatives that come from either 3-speed or 1-speed. That's basically what you're getting at. And so you kind of wanted to say, okay, it's almost like RPG elements in a way, if you think about it, right? It's kind of like, oh, well, you're slow, so therefore you make more sound, or you're faster, therefore you're a bit quieter. I think you could probably say, do you need to remove 3-2-1 speed and make everyone a 2-speed versus should we look into the sound that, say, a 1-speed makes or a 3-speed makes? Because I don't necessarily mind the element that certain operators are slower or faster.
Yep.
And what is dependent on that is they also then have less or more armor as well, and maybe their gadget and the way that they play off of that. You know, you think of like Ram has obviously just come in, and Ram's a 1-speed, 3 armor with a gadget that also actually masks noise a bit, so that's kind of interesting. And so yeah, they're a little bit slower, but when Ram gets into a position, throws down the Boogie Auto Breacher, she's kind of set there. And I remember when we were talking about her on the preview, if you see a Boogie Auto Breacher, you know Ram's close by. So you've got the negatives and positives to that. If Ram's 2-speed, then you kind of lose that element, right? Because like now suddenly Ram's just like everyone else, and you can't necessarily play and have that knowledge. So I think personally for me, I like the 3-2-1 system, but I also agree with you that you shouldn't be able to differentiate who's who based on like, oh, they're a bit their footsteps are louder or they're heavier. So I think we're in agreement here.
Yeah, I mean, again, it doesn't necessarily need to be that 1-speeds are louder than 3-speeds or the other way, whatever. I think I'm confusing myself. It doesn't have to be a system where a 3-speed is louder than a 1-speed. It could be standardized. I think everyone probably in general needs a bit of a boost in terms of volume because it's a little bit crazy how much you can just slow walk around the map these days. So yeah, I think I agree. Standardizing speed would not be probably my favorite outcome. It is very radical, and I understand there would be a lot of backlash and people probably wouldn't like it, and even I may not like it after testing it. I think every operator has their own characteristics, and their speed can actually, work hand in hand with their gadget, as you mentioned.
I think the last thing as well to close out the debate and hot topics for this particular week is that if you go down the route of everyone has 1.5x, everyone's 2-speed, you start to now create an environment where every operator is largely the same outside of just their gadget. And I find that a little bit boring. The beauty of Siege, and while it maybe doesn't flow as nicely into competitive or ranked, for example, is the fact that it's got a little bit of those little RPG elements where everyone has got some little differences and niches and nuances. And I think that is a good thing. And I don't think you want to strip that away, but I do think you can say, let's keep it, but let's balance it. And that's really all it should come down to. Just putting more attention and more eyes from Ubisoft's side into these kind of ideas, into these issues, and maybe you come up with solutions, as you said, like the sound rather than the speed, or instead of 1.5x being on everyone, you just kind of actually take the time to balance it. So fun little